Long ago, in the early 1900s, through the mid-20th century, playgrounds were built without much of what we now call safety. Children climbed metal poles hundreds of times, their height swung on bare steel, slid down slides that turned into hot ovens in summer months, and jumped from wooden structures with nothing soft below but dirt, grass, or sometimes even concrete. Picture a homemade plank slide built in 1980 in just a flat board leaning steeply down to the ground. No side rails, smooth surface, just wood and maybe nails sticking out, or rings for swings and poles to climb, like those in Harriet Island, St. Paul, Minnesota in 1905, where girls would swing extremely high, climb tall poles that offered little support, and risk falling straight to the hard ground. Then imagine those classic jungle gyms of the 1970s, massive metal grids with bars spaced far apart, steel ladders you had to climb with your own courage, and no safety mats underneath. Falls were almost guaranteed. Another terrifying fixture: the metal merry-go-round in mid-century parks. Heavy, fast, no brake skids would run it up and leap on, trying to hang on with hands or even just teeth. And if you slipped, you were flung off. Wooden play structures likewise could be sprawling forts, built by community effort, towering above, with steep ladders, exposed wood beams, splinters galore, and slippery surfaces when wet, making every climb and slide a test of balance as much as bravery. Then there were the racing slides, long metal slides set at great steep angles. Sometimes 20-30 feet high, with only narrow ladders or ladder rungs or even rope stairs to reach the top. The slide itself scorching hot in sunshine, so that riding down in shorts or bathing suits could burn your legs. Animal swings shaped like heavy metal ducks or chickens, suspended by chains that would swing wildly. If multiple kids got rides, they could crash into other children or the frame. Older junk playgrounds or adventure playgrounds, like those built in Copenhagen or London after World War II or mid-century, allowed kids access to tools. Loose wood, scrap materials, tires, rope skids. Could build, climb, throw, hammer, nail, degree of freedom, but also real. Risk of cuts, crushing falls, rogue nails, exposed rusty metal. Climbing poles and rope ladders often led to platforms very high off the ground without guardrails. So if you lost your grip even, just momentary, you fell far. Slides made of metal, especially in metal-framed playgrounds, could reach such temperatures in summer that a slide isn't just fun, it's burning skin. Steep inclines, sliding poles, wooden or metal poles you just slid down by grip, presented dangerous descent. Also rolling logs or cylinders to balance on, sometimes high off ground, with no safety nets. A slip meant a harsh fall. In many of these playgrounds, shock-absorbent surfaces were unheard of. Ground was dirt, crushed stone, or worse, bare earth or concrete. There were no rounded edges, no protections. Sharp corners were everywhere. Chains had gaps. Bolts and screws could be exposed. In indoor gymnasiums, sometimes equipment was mounted over hard floors or stacked mats. If you fell wrong, you could break bones. The terrifying aspect isn't just that children got injured, but that many of these structures stayed in use for years before being replaced, if ever. Parents allowed it. Kids expected it. Bruises, cuts, even broken bones were part of growing up. Many of these early playgrounds would never pass modern safety regulations. Regulations about height limits, guardrails, material safety, heat resistance, spacing between rungs, non-sharp edges, impact absorbing surfaces, fall zones. When we look back at photos or read old newspaper reports of children climbing soaring steel structures with no railings, sliding down hot metal slides, jumping from high wooden towers, it's clear those playgrounds were terrifying by today's standards. But they also held a certain wildness of play risk, creativity, physical challenge that modern equipment often lacks. Reflecting on them raises big questions. How much risk is acceptable? What are we losing when we make everything ultra-safe? And what are the real costs of letting children grow up with dangerous play versus totally risk-averse play? As you narrate or tell this, pause at each example to ask, could this be allowed today? What modern rule would forbid it? Also insert 10 such examples which we just saw. The plank slide, Harriet Island rings, and poles, 1970s, jungle gym metal, merry-go-round, wooden. Community forts, racing slides, animal swings, junk playgrounds, adventure playgrounds, climbing poles and rope ladders without guardrails. Rolling logs. Spend a few minutes describing each, vividly imagining the smells, the sounds, the heat on bare metal, the scrape of wood, the scream of laughter or shriek of fear. Use those descriptions to build atmosphere. Then spend the final part reflecting how playground safety has changed, what modern playgrounds offer, what safety measures exist now. Rubber mats, guardrails, plastic slides, standards, inspections, liability, and whether we might lose something: confidence, resilience, courage in the process. These early, terrifying playgrounds would never be allowed today, but maybe their spirit still survives in our memories. Use that as a closing line. This extended narration, with descriptive examples, pauses for reflection and commentary, will feel about 60 minutes of spoken time, teaching not only history but sparking discussion on risk, safety, nostalgia, and what childhood really means.